A huge opportunity in a really weird place. Let's go through the weird stuff that's happened recently in Kansas City. Let's hear from Hardo DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud, plus some funny moments from the day. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every
I like what I'm seeing from DeMeco Ryans. I like what I'm hearing from DeMeco Ryans. I like what I'm hearing from CJ Stroud. There's good vibes right now for the Texans heading into a game that we've already beat to death. This is a massive opportunity, a weird place, massive opportunity. Perhaps step one to getting over the hump with where the Texans, DeMeco Ryans, found themselves, knocking out the Chiefs of contention. 11% chance if the Chiefs win this game of making the playoffs based on the Athletic playoff predictor. So there is a massive opportunity and there is an interesting vibe. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. You can see me, hear me here, as well as on SNL at 4 o'clock. You can actually see us in person this Friday. That's 2 sleeps away out there at BB's in Kingwood. If you haven't seen that happy hour menu, my goodness, what a great happy hour menu. First drink on us per the use. So be out there 3 o'clock till a little bit later. We got you covered. They got I think I'm gonna get some oysters and some boiled shrimp. I already got my layout there, and then who knows what else. So we hope to see you out there this Friday, and then we return to Spanky's next Friday. DeMeco Ryans, very serious this week. We were at practice. DeMeco Ryans, very, very serious. The injury report at practice, pretty interesting. You have Woody Marks resting. We'll see if he's on the practice field tomorrow. I think it's inevitable that Woody Marks is going to need to rest at some time. I don't know when they're going to be able to do that, but you can only play through so much if you're Woody Marks. I know he's a tough guy, but it would be nice if the Texans do win this game, if they get to a point where maybe they can ease the workload. Now, the problem is they're paper thin at that position, at the running back position. But my gosh, how many times does this guy have to limp off the field and then go back out there? So we'll keep an eye on Woody Marks. Trent Brown also not out there. I don't see why he would ever practice on Wednesday. Apparently he's got a hand injury, but we'll see Trent Brown, whether or not he practices tomorrow. Danico Autry, he's a guy that they're icing up as well. He's kind of a little bit older, but the one that to me that matters the most is Kamari Lassiter. And Kamari Lassiter, against the speed that the Chiefs have, Kamari Lassiter is someone you're going to need. And Kamari Lassiter has established himself as, I think, perhaps the best number 2 corner in football. And DeMeco Ryans actually says he's the best. Not the best corner, but he says that he is the best at something. I asked DeMeco Ryans about Kamari Lassiter. Here's what DeMeco had to say about the corner who missed practice today.
How much of an asset is Kamari Lassiter, not just on the outside, but near the line of scrimmage? It seems like he's getting more involved blitzing, and every time he's around the line of scrimmage, it seems like there's a lot of violence. How much of an asset is that?
Kamari is one of the, hands down, one of the best corners in this league when it comes to playing physical. Right? It comes to stepping up in the run game. You want to see a corner tackle, go watch Kamari's tape. For any corners that want to learn how to tackle, young corners, go watch Kamari Lassiter. Go watch him tackle. Go watch him take on blocks. Like, there isn't a better corner in the league when it comes to the physical presence that he provides to a defense. There is not a better guy than Kamari.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see it. You can kind of feel the energy whenever he makes a play. I always equate it to like the alley-oop theory. Whenever there's a basketball game going on and there's an alley-oop, it seems like there's just a certain amount of energy, not injury. I'm used to saying injury because we're talking about his injury and the energy. There's a certain amount of energy that spreads throughout the entire team, the entire crowd. And that's kind of what you get with
high-grade marijuana
Kamari
called
Lassiter.
Kush on the streets.
That's kind of what you get with Kamari Lassiter and the energy that he brings. Will Anderson also did not practice. Will Anderson's been resting. He's been icing up. Another guy that you might want down the stretch to be able to rest. But Will Anderson, I anticipate him playing. We'll see what happens with Lassiter, but I definitely think you need him out there. And other than that, those are pretty much the significant injuries that we're talking about. They're straight at wide receiver, offensive line. Keep an eye on Trent Brown. Backfield, Woody Marks, Azeez Al-Shire was out there, and no Kamari Lassiter. But Wednesday practice reports, you always kind of take those with a grain of salt. You acknowledge them. Sometimes they can provide you with clues, but Thursday is really where business intensifies, and then Friday is where, damn, if they're not practicing, then chances are they are not going to be playing. And by the way, at practice today, it was pretty cold. It was pretty damn cold, and it's going to be cold in Kansas City. I think it could get into the 20s. DeMeco Ryans, the hardo, asked about cold weather. Doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, the strategy for playing in the cold is not to focus on it too much, right? It's a mindset factor. You have 3 hours, like no matter what the weather is, no matter what the temperature, like you got to go out and play ball for 3 hours. So it shouldn't be a factor for our guys.
Yeah, I mean, and that's easy to say. I think cold weather does impact some more than others. The one that I have pointed to a lot is Kaimi Fairbairn. Kaimi Fairbairn does not like the cold weather. He's Hawaiian, and he does not kick well in cold weather. Last time the Texans were in Kansas City, he killed the momentum. They had their best drive of the season. It was an absolute gem against the Kansas City Chiefs in the second half, capped off with a Joe Mixon touchdown, and then he missed the extra point. And it was all downhill from there. So Kaimi Fairbairn today, it was cold in Houston, and as soon as I walked in that practice field, we talked about this on SNL, I snapped a picture because I wanted to see how he was handling it. And I'll be damned, Fairbairn wearing no sleeves. Look at that. Look at that. He's training himself for this. Nico Collins was wearing sleeves. All the offensive linemen were wearing sleeves. And the Hawaiian kicker, who hates cold weather, no sleeves. Look at that. He had to have been in pain there. There's no way that he wasn't just completely miserable there. You're not fooling anyone, Fairbairn. We'll see how he kicks in the cold weather. I do think it's a thing. I do think it's something to keep an eye on. I'm not trying to be tried on that. I hate the cold weather, so kind of my spirit animal on that. But goodness gracious. Let's go to the chat. Trucker Cam TX says on Aaron's stream last night, Aaron Wilson's stream last night.
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
He said he's had better nicknames than Alpha Aaron. Sounds like you got to step up. He said he was the assassin in high school. The assassin is not a better nickname than Alpha Aaron. He's told me he had some nicknames. He was actually telling us today. But the assassin, you think that's better than Alpha Aaron? No. Can't do that. And I don't know that he was called the assassin. I think he might be calling himself the assassin. I'm going to have to ask him about this tomorrow. I'm going to have to ask Aaron about this assassin thing. Aaron stole the show today, though. That's for damn sure. He stole the show today with CJ Stroud. We'll go right into that. Appreciate you, Trucker. But, yeah, Aaron, just total beast mode. I had no idea. I'll be honest. I watched Chris Jones. I guess it's his Twitter handle. I had no idea that Chris Jones was called Stone Cold. I thought it would at least be Stone Cold Jones too. But Aaron, Alpha Aaron, not the assassin, he asked CJ Stroud about Karlaftis and Stone Cold. Comedy ensued.
What are some of the things you see from Karlaftis and also Stone Cold? Have a follow-up.
Who?
What do you see from Karlaftis and Stone Cold Jones?
I don't know. That's what people call him. That's what people call him? Oh, cool. Yeah, he's a heck of a player, man. He's a legend. He's a Hall of Fame guy. He's really good. Karlaftis, somebody I played against in college, played against him last year. really good game this last year. So, we got to be, really good up front. We know that every game, the better we establish the line of scrimmage, the better, we play as an offense. So it'll be good for us.
There you go. Stone cold. That was so funny. Stooks actually got the a picture. I had no idea. Chris Jones used to just do damage to the Texans. There was the one game where Titus, I think the Texans lost in OT. I know they lost on the foul play. I think McKinnon scored the touchdown. It was where they actually hung a little bit with the Chiefs. And I think the Chiefs were pissed off that it was as close as it was. This was back in the hell days. But you had the situation where Titus actually was playing guard and he actually held his own pretty decently against Chris Jones. And he's been a nightmare. Last year, they couldn't block him. This year, there's been times where Chris Jones hasn't looked like Chris Jones, but to quote Rudy T, you don't underestimate the heart of a champion, and that the Chiefs are champions. They've been in the AFC Championship for the last 7 years, and this is a desperate game for them. I don't want to say they need it more than the Texans, but their season is hanging by a thread if they lose this game. And the Texans, it's not ideal to lose this game, but after it, you got the Raiders and you got the Cardinals back-to-back at home. So you're probably feeling relatively good about it. So you expect their best effort. And if Chris Jones does have that all-pro elite performance in him, then you got to think that effort is going to be put forth against the Texans, which I think is something to keep an eye on. And it might be why I am perhaps guilty of, I guess, having still an incredible amount of respect for the Chiefs to the point where I think this is the biggest threat and the team that I fear the most in this situation. We'll get into the weirdness of the last half decade against the Chiefs. The last 5 years, a lot of weird things has happened. I've got 5 weird things that have happened. We'll go through that in a sec. But let's hear some more from DeMeco Ryans about Andy Reid. Andy Reid's on the other sideline. And Andy Reid's obviously one of the best NFL coaches to ever do it. He's obviously one of the best offensive minds to ever do it. He actually used to coach DeMeco Ryans, and he's never lost to DeMeco Ryans since DeMeco Ryans has been a head coach. So DeMeco was asked about the chess match. He said he enjoyed the chess match when talking about Shane Steichen. I think he's probably a little bit more conservative when it comes to the chess against Andy Reid.
I don't try to. It's my old coach. I don't try to. I'll let Andy have that. So we're prepared how we need to prepare. Andy's he's a great coach. Had the pleasure of playing for him for 1 year. He's an outstanding coach, and he has a track record to prove that. So, it's always a challenge going up with Andy because, whatever you've seen on tape, he's going to have some type of wrinkle, right? There's going to be some type of new play design that we can't prepare for because we haven't seen it, because he's still cutting edge, just a really smart coach, does a great job of positioning his players, making you have to adjust and think on the fly on defense as well. And that's why he's one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah. And quite frankly, I think there's a lot of things that you can question about DeMeco Ryans as a head coach. Is it DeMeco? No. The game management has gotten some questions. But as far as just his defense, it's going to hold its own. I'm not going to sit here and say he's the defensive version or he's in the same class as Andy Reid, but he's on that path. He's on that track. His defenses are always prepared. They're always give a lot of effort, and they've developed a reputation of being able to make quarterbacks look like a shell of themselves whenever they see them. So, in a lot of instances, a coach at this point in his tenure against a guy like an Andy Reid, you think maybe they're outmanned, and maybe as a whole that could be the case. But if we're just talking about when Reid's offense is on the field, and DeMeco's defense is on the field. I think even in the 2 losses last year, you can say the defense kind of held their own. They did their thing. It was close. The offense is really kind of what let them down. Now, that's where you step away from that and you say, well, is there a DeMeco factor? DeMeco, no offense. That's possible. But the defense is going to hold its own. It's the superpower. Every element of the defense, from evaluation to coaching to even resources, I think you could say is up tip top. So I think DeMeco can hold his own when it comes to that. Does that mean that the Texans win? It's really going to come down to the offense. And what can CJ Stroud do? And what can Nick do for you? AKA, what can Nick do for CJ? And CJ has been to Kansas City twice. He's lost both times. One of them ended his season. This is going to be the second non-divisional opponent that he will be traveling to their place for the 3rd time. Baltimore is one. He won the last time he was there. There was no Lamar Jackson. And Kansas City is the next. There will be a Patrick Mahomes. Here's CJ Stroud talking about that KC atmosphere.
It's always cool to go play in KC, against, that team who's, been really great for the last couple of years. I've been a fan of, Pat for a long time. And just, he's a heck of a player. And it's just really cool, being about 5 years ago, I was in high school, watching, and then, now you're competing against those guys. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't really think we have that. I don't really know him too well, but I think, he's a heck of a player. And anytime you get to share a field, some legendary guys, and you just try to gain their respect and, move from there.
CJ got a recharge or something like that as he got to step away. I think there was a bit of a recharge for CJ Stroud. And sometimes when you step away for a month and then you go back, it's like you just completely feel a different way. I don't want to say that the season wears on CJ. It did last year though. And he talked about, he's been kind of reflective, insightful. It feels like he has a really good grasp of what the team is since he stepped away. Maybe there's kind of a blessing in disguise factor of CJ Stroud getting to step away. I'm not saying they're a better team without him. I never said that at all. I think Davis Mills did a very admirable job, specifically in the Jacksonville game. One of the better quarterback performances that we've seen in a while when you factor in what they were able to do based on previous weaknesses. But the fact that you won all 3 games that he was gone and he comes back and he has the higher upside, maybe there was a little bit of a factor of a recharge for CJ Stroud. It's very possible that could be the case. And if you listen to him talk, it sounds that way. It 100% sounds that way. And speaking of CJ Stroud, he, just like SNL and just like the locker room, he is a sponsor. He has a sponsor of TDCU. Shout out to TDCU, that Texans debit card. We still got time. You can get that debit card right now. You're going to get 15% off the Texans team shop. Go to tdcu.org/Texans. Membership required, insured by NCUA. Cody Stoots has that debit card. If you don't want the Texans logo, they got the Buckies, they got the Cougs, they got all that. And it is one of the best local businesses in the land. We're very honored to work with them. And I know a lot of viewers in the locker room and SNL do what CJ does as well. And they have that Texans debit card, 15% off just in time for the holidays. Ariante Ursary, left tackle for the Texans, rookie. So I was really fascinated by Ariante Ursary. And I want to talk about one of his teammates and how this guy sucked. There was a number one. This was one of the more pitiful things. I didn't realize it happened until after I was walking out of practice today. But you suck when ... I'll explain. First, though, let's spend a few minutes with Ariante Ursary. And I remember when the Texans drafted Ariante Ursary, as I do every time they draft someone, I kind of try to do as much research as possible. And I came across the local news out there in Kansas City. We actually talked about this when he was drafted. And They had the local news at his house. He was rocking a KC hat, like an old school, like KC cap, not Chiefs, but just a KC cap. I don't know if it was Royals or whatever. And the local news was there, and he was having a day one draft party with all of his family. And time went by. Texans traded back. That's one of the teams that may have drafted a tackle. Few tackles went off the board. And then Kansas City Chiefs are set to pick. Worst kept secret heading into the draft. Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to take an offensive lineman. They could use an offensive lineman. Ariante Ursary, the local guy. He got the local Kansas City news at his spot. Kansas City Chiefs are on the clock. They take Josh Simmons. So they passed on him. That sucks. That naturally sucks, right? But if you grow up in Kansas City, all your family is Chiefs fans, and they pass on you, that sucks. You're having a party at your house. All these people are probably wearing Chiefs gear. Now, this is why it sucks even more. Because after round one, day one of the draft, they don't start round 2 or 3 till the next day. So you have to have a draft party. Your hometown team passes on you. The party has to clear out, and then you have to go to sleep. He said he didn't sleep that night. Now, he's tried to downplay it and say, well, you know, anyone who passed on me, I want to show them what's up. Come on. I saw the news thing, and he said they're going to have to see me in the playoffs or whatever. I remember it. So I completely understand the frustration there. And today he met with the media. I asked him about it. Also asked him about his ideal football weather, which it's hell to me. His heaven is my hell. And he was also asked about everything going on in KC. So let's spend a few minutes with Ariante Ursary. And then after that, you might suck if ... Tell you in a sec. Let's hear from Ariante.
What will it be like for you to be able to go back home to Kansas City knowing that all these people, I'm sure, will be there who have helped you kind of achieve your NFL dream?
It feels good going back home, man, and really getting around my families and friends, because it's like one of the games they, wanted to make this year. So the fact that it's here so quick, it's all good timing. I'm glad that we playing a good team like Kansas City.
Any chance to reflect on how far you've come in a relatively short amount of time?
Yeah, man. I feel like everything's kind of happening so fast. Like going through the combine, the end of my college season and all that good stuff, and fast forward, now I'm here playing in a whole different scheme with a whole different team and guys that I grew closer to, and I'm going to keep building that bond with. So, I came a long way.
I watched you on draft night, and you had the gathering and everything, and obviously Kansas City was looking for an offensive line. Was there ever a point where you're like, maybe I'll play here, maybe I will be a Chief?
It was always a possibility, but I'm happy I'm a Houston Texan.
Is there any extra motivation to kind of show them what they
anybody that was picked before me, I use that stuff as internal fire.
What are you guys doing well right now as an offensive line? DeMeco was talking to us today about the physicality that you seem to have developed over the last 3 weeks, maybe the month.
Yeah, man, I feel like, when we amongst each other as an offensive line, we just discuss that, being physical, and really going out there, not just talking about it, but being about it, going out there and putting it on tape. So guys around the league, you see a highlight of Ed, putting somebody on their back, put them to bed, that's what kind of, a physicality that we want to, play with.
How many tickets are you getting for this for family and friends?
I don't even know. Probably like a good 30.
Yeah.
The rest of everybody else is older. They can buy their own. Take care of the younger one.
High school? Playing the same?
No, never.
What do you think it's going to feel like?
I know it's going to be loud. So get ready for that. Get mentally ready for that.
If you get like emotions-wise, just from being from it, what do you think it'll be?
Oh, it'd be pretty cool, man. I actually never been to a Chiefs game in person, so I've always watched them on TV, to go there and be in the stadium and play in the stadium and be a full circle moment.
How about blocking for Loftus and guys like that? What do you think the Texans
attention to detail. They're good players, just got to come with you, come ready.
What is cold weather like for you? Do you enjoy it? You've obviously played most of your career in it, and you come down to Texas. A lot of us kind of shivering and stuff.
I feel like I'm acclimated to any weather. I mean, coming here, being down there in Minnesota for 5 years, so I know we were joking about it earlier whether guys should wear sleeves or not. You know, my O-line coach is like, you wear sleeves, you soft, man. So I've always lived by that. So you won't catch me wearing no sleeves.
What is perfect football weather for you? If you had to lay out the perfect climate.
2023 Iowa was like -10. Everybody was breathing on each other. It was a cold game too. Cold game.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I don't want that minus football weather. He does though. He's kind of an old soul. He was walking in the locker room the other day and he saw a bunch of media types on their phones and he was like, "Oh, just wasting your lives away on the phone." I don't know if he was kidding or not, but he's kind of got a little bit of an old soul. I say old soul, but there's some old people who can't really function without their phone, which brings me to this piece of breaking news. I know a lot of you will be happy about this because he was legit depressed about it, but I noticed today that I had a lot more Twitter mentions than I usually do, and I minimize those. But if I follow the guy and he mentions something or retweets or whatever, it shows up in the timeline. And John McClain is back to retweeting. I think John McClain retweeted me 4 times today. So John McClain has got his Twitter back. So whatever attorney he hired or whatever the hell he went through, John McClain has his Twitter back. So the general, we'll try to get him at Spanky's next week too. So you should join us out there. But the general got his Twitter back. So good for him. On the chat, AZNX Factor says we need JJ Watt to announce the game, replace Collinsworth so we can win. I like Collinsworth. I'll be honest. I know there's a lot of people who don't like Collinsworth. I like Collinsworth. I think Collinsworth is an icon. He's a legend. I know PFF's unpopular, but I think it's impressive that he started that. I actually like Collinsworth a lot. I don't like Tony Romo, but I enjoy listening to Chris Collinsworth speak. It always seems like it's a big game when he talks. So I actually kind of enjoy Chris Collinsworth. I know that's probably not the most unified take that I have, but I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Chris Collinsworth. To be honest, can't lie about it. All right, so you stunk when ... I didn't even notice this till we walked out of practice today, and we had talked to DeMeco, we had talked to CJ, we talked to Noel, we talked to Ursery, and Laken Tomlinson did not even come up. Keep in mind, Laken Tomlinson had a locker right next to Ariante Ursery. Jalen Thomas, they brought back. His locker was right there where Laken Tomlinson's was. And nobody asked about Laken Tomlinson. This is a guy who started 7 games for you this year. And DeMeco wasn't even asked about him. And I think it makes sense. I'm not criticizing it. I didn't even think to. Nobody else even thought to. I know he's been inactive the last 2 games, but my goodness, if there is ever a sign that you were bad, that is it. That is it. The locker mate doesn't get asked about it. The coach doesn't get asked about it. The quarterback doesn't get asked about it. And quite frankly, nobody even thought about it. There are practice squad guys who get released that get asked about. What a waste of a signing Laken Tomlinson was. Maybe there's some sort of impact, some sort of OG mentorship that we'll never know about that he taught. I think that's possible. He was a professional, and he obviously has started a lot of games in the NFL, a godly amount of games in the NFL, despite most organizations not thinking he was good. But man, how irrelevant is that? The fact that he didn't even get asked about. That's fascinating. I mean, I'm actually legitimately fascinated by that. Legitimately fascinated by that. I'm also fascinated with some of the stuff that's happened in Kansas City recently involving the Texans. It's actually it's pretty fascinating. We'll get to that in a sec, but Travis Kelce and Mahomes. It's a duo who last time the Texans faced the Chiefs, they lit them up. There was a lot of Azeez Al-Shaair on Travis Kelce. It resulted in Al-Shaair actually working a lot on coverage. Now, there was no Petrie, a.k.a. Toad, and there was no Jimmy Ward, but you do have Toad this week, and I got to think that he'll be a big part of shutting down Travis Kelce. But let's hear DeMeco Ryans talk about one of the best duos in the history of football, Mahomes and Kelce, which is still kind of doing its thing. Here's what DeMeco had to say about that.
Both guys, of course, they played together for a long time, and they kind of know, when the routes, Kelce can shut a route down probably sooner than it needs to be shut down, and Mahomes is feeling the same thing or seeing the same thing that he's seeing, and that's why they're able to have that, good connection. Kelce plays with, he has great hands, really good job, really great awareness of zone coverage, of when to sit it down, like when to break out, break in. It's just they're tied in together because they've seen football through the same set of eyes for such a long time, and you see that connection is still there on tape.
Pretty magical, honestly. Like, as much as, there's a lot of Chiefs haters out there. I don't love the Chiefs. I don't hate them as much as I did perhaps the Patriots. But it is a pretty magical thing to watch when they get it going. Travis Kelce is pretty annoying though. But it is a fascinating thing of beauty when you watch those two guys do what they do. Now, I do think though the biggest threat to the Texans, and maybe this gets canceled out by the news that the Chiefs are going to be without perhaps 3 of their top offensive linemen. Now, we already know 2 for sure, but Jawad Taylor could be out. Jawan Taylor could be out as well. But the speed at wide receiver, I think, could be a problem for the Texans. 3rd and long is a problem. Patrick Mahomes is good at extending plays. And then Lassiter's banged up now. So the speed at wide receiver, I think, is kind of a problem. DeMeco, this was kind of at the beginning when he was in hardo mode, but I asked him about the speed at wide receiver. Short and sweet.
How much of a problem can their speed, specifically at receiver, be for defense?
Yeah, they have good players. Right? They have good players at the perimeter. We have good players too. So we play fast, play physical. That's not going to change for us.
We have one of the best cornerback duos in the league, and Hollywood Brown really hasn't been much of a factor for them. But Rice has been pretty solid since he's come back. Worthy, not really a great season for him. So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of matches up, and if the fact that they don't have their offensive line, if that's kind of an equalizer, if Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson are able to kind of wreak havoc on Mahomes. And we've seen that happen in some big games. I said you have the best corner duo. You also have the best edge duo in the league. So it's a good counter to what the Chiefs can do. Now, will the offense be able to hold their own? That's going to be a Nick Caley situation. Nick Caley speaks tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting media availability with Nick Caley tomorrow. And the reality is the offense has to be better. DeMeco knows that. Everyone knows that. And just winning is not enough. They've been winning the last 2 years, but they proactively brought in Nick Caley to improve the offense. It hasn't necessarily been the case. So that's what the standard that they've set. They've set the table nicely. They've recovered after a sluggish start to where they have an opportunity to chase that standard. But that's where they're at. And it's going to be on Nick Caley. Nick Caley has to be able to do his thing, or maybe CJ Stroud can overcome what Nick Caley does, which hopefully we don't see too much more of the Cade Stover tush push, or if we do, we see it limited capacity. Cody Stoots asked CJ Stroud about his college teammate Cade Stover running that tush push. Here's what CJ had to say.
Did Cade ask you for any tips or advice on taking snaps?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
You were able to offer him some advice for that role in that situation?
What you think?
Is he a good student?
Yeah, I've been around Kay since I've been 18 years old, so like he listens to almost everything I tell him to do, and vice versa. Like, that's my brother, man. He tells me to jump off the bridge. It's probably for a good reason, so I will go do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Jumping off a bridge. It's always weird that that's the analogy. Where did I want to find the foundation of jumping off the bridge. I want to find that. On the chat, Rick asks a question. Shout out to Rick. Hope to see y'all at BB's on Friday out there in Kingwood. He says, are the Chiefs going to play Dameon Pierce? I don't know. I doubt it. I don't know. I will say this. A lot of times whenever you bring in someone from another team, like you try to get tips, I don't even know that Dameon Pierce would be able to give any tips on the offense. I don't know. What do you think if Andy Reid or Spags called Dameon Pierce something? Tell us some of the tendencies of the Texans offense. You think Dameon Pierce would be like breaking it down for him? Like, you think Dameon Pierce like gets on the board? Tells him I would think not. But Pacheco and Hunt are better. I don't think Pierce will play, but I haven't really even kept track of that. But he's definitely not better than Hunt, and he's definitely not better than Pacheco. He can't pass block. I think not, but I don't know. I haven't even checked up on Dameon Pierce. Not sure. Not saying he's Laken Tomlinson, but I don't know about the Dameon Pierce factor, whether he plays or not. But we'll see. They haven't been able to run the ball this year, the Chiefs. They have not been able to run the ball. But I actually like their backs. And it's not like you really key on them. Like, you can key on a Jonathan Taylor. You're not going to key on these guys. And Kareem Hunt, man, the last few times I've watched Kareem Hunt, he looks like he's running like a mother trucker out there. He is beasting dudes. He looks like he's kind of almost like finding his groove. And Pacheco just runs like the bad guy in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, that dude just runs violent. He's been banged up. I don't know that he's 100%, but those two guys, the offensive line's banged up, but those guys, when they get in the open field, it seems like they don't necessarily shy away from contact. Kansas City's skill guys, it's weird. Maybe it's just too much respect, but I respect their skill guys, I think, more than what their production would warrant and what it feels like most people think of them. But I still have a healthy amount of respect for them. And really, I have a large amount of respect for Kansas City and how weird it's been for the Texans, which we'll get to in a sec. 5 weird things that have happened in the last 5 years in Kansas City and why that place just kind of feels like a haunted house for the Texans. First, though, let's go to the chat real quick. Rich Boy, you're crazy, man.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm. Rich Boy says, if Cody tells you to jump off a bridge, are you jumping? No. No, absolutely not. No, I don't. I would definitely ask why he would want me to jump off the bridge. So no, probably not. I don't know. Maybe. The weirdness of KC, though, the last half decade. I have 5 events just so we can kind of go through the recent history to show how bizarre that place has been really since the vibes got high. And the Kansas City vibes were actually pretty high in 2019 because in the regular season, the Texans went to Kansas City. Deshaun Watson and company beat the Chiefs. They iced the win by going forward on 4th and 2. Pretty aggressive. 4th and 2, slant to D-Hop. D-Hop catches, game over. Deshaun Watson beats Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. And the biggest talking point and the biggest dialogue was, damn, there might be a rivalry here. Mahomes versus Watson, Texans, Chiefs, young team, Super Bowl team in Kansas City. This might be something special. But ever since then, the vibes have just gone crazy. And you talked about the aggressiveness and the 4th and 2 and the decision to do it. But then the Texans go to Kansas City that year in the playoffs. They're up 24-0. And while they're up 21-0 on 4th and 1, Bill O'Brien doesn't go for it because he didn't have a play, which is weird thing number one. And this is where it started getting weird. So you're telling me that as an offensive coordinator, you didn't have a play. You just beat this team a couple months before on a 4th and 2. You're kicking their ass. You have a chance to go up 28 points. You're vibing, and you don't have a play, so you kick a field goal. And Bill O'Brien said after he didn't have a play. That was weird. Then it got weirder. So weird event number 2. You decide that you're just going to settle for 3 points, and then you fake a punt deep in your own territory with Justin Reid, who, by the way, had a hurt shoulder at the time. So you didn't have a play, then you fake a punt, and then the wheels just completely fall off. The wheels completely fall off. And from there, Bill O'Brien never won another football game as head coach of the Texans. He never won another football game as head coach of the Texans. He starts the next season 0-4, and then King Bill gets dethroned. He gone. The end of the B.O.B. era as we know it. Bye-bye. That was weird number 2. Weird number 3 happened last year. The Tank Dell injury. Just the whole scene was strange. It felt like everything was going well. Tank Dell, who'd gotten off to a sluggish start in the season, he gets hurt. Really dramatic scene on the field. And then the Texans end up losing, and that's weird number 3. Weird number 4. Playoffs last year. Chris Boyd pushes Frank Ross. By the way, Chris Boyd, thank God he's okay. Got shot earlier this year. And I guess he returned to the facility. So good for Chris Boyd. But man, that was weird when he pushed Frank Ross. Very strange. And then weird 5. This is something that happens often in Kansas City. A lot of people on the lookout for this, the phantom flags. There were some phantom flags last year. There was some flopping with Patrick Mahomes. It was shameful. It is a weird place in Kansas City. Weird stuff happens with the Texans. DeMeco and CJ looking to end that drought and avoid the weirdness and really get on the fast track towards getting to where they wanted to go before the season. Shout out to Texans Turf for everything they do. My lovely backyard is what it is. It's always green. It's always clean because of Dan the Man. Shout out to Dan the Man. Some people call him Stone Cold. You might not know that, but he's the real Stone Cold. Dan the Man. Whether you want a playing green, whether or a putting green, a playing surface, whatever it is, he's got you covered. No matter where you are, he's got you covered. The drainage, all that, it's beautiful. It's lovely. He deals with the best, and he connects you with the best prices, the best team. They put everything they have into the job, no matter how big or small. And he's done some big ones, and he's done some small ones. Get Texans Turf just in time for the holidays. You will not regret it. I can't wait to light a fire this weekend once again with this cold weather. Shout out to Texans Turf. Go TexansTurf.com. Call Dan Stone Cold and let him do for you what he did for me. Yeah, Rich Boy brings up a good point. It was Jared Wayne. Yeah, that's why the injury was so weird. He ran into Tank Dell. He ran into him. Absolutely insane. Jefferson says, do we forgive the 24-0 lead if the Texans win on Sunday? The 24-0 lead was one of the best things that's happened to the Texans. It ran Bill O'Brien out of town. He wasn't gonna win a Super Bowl. The ceiling was limited. They started out well, but it actually ended up being a blessing in disguise. It started the rebuild, and the rest is kind of history. We know that the Titans probably would have come to NRG and beat his ass. Mike Vrabel would have just smacked Bill O'Brien around. So it ended up being fine. I think you can kind of forgive it. It sucked, though, but it ended up being kind of a blessing in disguise because it got you out of the B.O.B. era, which a lot of people wanted out of. And it forced Al McNair and Hannah to make the call and get rid of King Bill, take that crown off of B.O.B.'s head. But yeah, that was a tough Tough time. Weird place, Kansas City. Weird place. How will Nick Caley respond? That's the real question. I think DeMeco's defense holds up against Andy Reid. How will they respond? And the big plays, those you talk about the third and longs that the best defense in the league has been vulnerable to. Patrick Mahomes is the king of those third and longs. Are they going to be able to tame that? Don't know. Got to wait till Sunday night to see. Chris Collinsworth. Some hate. I like. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Shout out to Sleeper, the greatness that is Sleeper, for sponsoring as well. $20 entry, no deposit needed. If you want to play Sleeper, it makes every game more interesting. We actually got something really special in store for you in December. We're going to start it this weekend. You tag along and you can win big by playing Sleeper. If you haven't played, get the $20 entry, no deposit needed. If you don't even want to play, just use it as your app for scores. It's way better than any app that you've gotten used to using. So do that. You can also get the 100% match up to $100. Use that promo code LOCKER. But we got something really special for you. We'll do the sleeper pick of the week this Friday. I am leaning towards a Nico day. I'm leaning towards a Nico day. And I'm also leaning towards an under on the rushing yards with the Texans. But we will see. We'll figure that out. And tomorrow we'll hear from Nick Caley. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Subscribe, like, right along. Join us at BB's on Friday. And always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Shout out to Stone Cold.
Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the post.